Okay, hello everyone. Welcome, welcome, folks. You have arrived to another virtual tour of intentional communities. I'm really glad that you're here. I'm really excited for today's session, which is all focused on Costa Rican intentional communities. And I have three wonderful founders of these intentional communities here with us today. I'll just give it a few moments as folks trickle in. Welcome, welcome to all of you. You're here for the virtual tour of intentional communities, our November edition 2023. My name is Cynthia, and I am the host of the virtual tour events, and I'm calling from Vermont, where it is much colder, I'm sure, than in Costa Rica right now. We actually have some snow on the ground, so I'm feeling like I could use some of the warm vibes that you all are bringing. And I live in a small intentional community called Headwaters Eco Village. So just to mention, we have with us today Shift Esperanza, Earthwaking Village, and the ARC community. As I alluded to earlier, we have a very special opportunity hosted in partnership with the Foundation for Intentional Community and a bunch of other organizations to put together an incredible eco-village tour this January in Costa Rica. So I'm actually hosting the tour through my company called Eco Village Tours. And we're actually doing two 9-day long tours in Costa Rica. We've already completely sold out the first of the 9-day tours, but we still have spots available if you want to join the second 9-day tour, which is going to be January 23rd to the 31st. We'll be touring 7 different intentional communities, including the ones on today's call. Actually, Jonathan with Earthwaking Village is on the first tour, but the ARC and Shift Esperanza are going to be on the second tour. So if you want to listen to the community of what the community is about today and then actually go and visit, this is your chance. I've teamed up with a wonderful Costa Rican communities expert, Jason Thomas, who I'm going to be co-leading the trip with, and we're just going to have so much fun. So if you're curious, it's ecovillagetours.com, and we also hope to do this tour again next year. So if you're not quite sure about this year, you can still go ahead and join the waiting list for next year as well. And I'm happy to answer questions about the tour on the side if you're curious. All right, so there's that. I also want to give a shout out, of course, to the Foundation for Intentional Community, FIC. FIC, as many of you know, is a nonprofit organization and produces events like this and all kinds of workshops and the wonderful communities directory. And a lot of that is available for free. So they do appreciate, as a nonprofit, donations to support this work. So if you have the means and you feel inspired, would much encourage you to go ahead and donate at ic.org/donate. All right, so let's jump into it. First, we're going to hear from Matthew with Shift Esperanza. And I'm going to stop my screen share. Okay, Matthew, hi, welcome.
How's it going? Thank you, Cynthia, for hosting us, and thanks everybody for showing up. It's good to see so much interest in those that want to live in community and intentional communities. So it's we're obviously all of us here working on those are onto something, and great to see so much enthusiasm for what everybody's doing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Matthew. Looking forward to learning about your community.
All right, so I'm just going to jump in. So it's hard to sum up everything in 10 minutes, so I'm going to go rather fast and just jump right into things. So we're called Shift Esperanza, and we are located, in Nosara, which many people may have heard of. It's a very popular beach destination in Costa Rica, particularly those that are seeking wellness and health and sort of spirit seekers. And we are a mecca for surfing and yoga as well. Our site is a 7-minute drive from the beach. We're an inland site. Nosara is getting rather crowded, or more and more crowded as the word gets out and it becomes more and more of a popular destination. So we're at a site that is really very much feels like a sanctuary. Just a little bit about my background. I'm a career real estate developer. Got my start and most of my career is in New York. So we have always been focused on doing projects with a positive social mission. And at some point, as we look to continue to push the envelope there, I felt I was banging up against trying to do conscious projects in a not so conscious business environment. And 5 years ago, we started winding down our New York office and moved I moved my family and we opened up a new office in Nosara and focus on doing regenerative projects in Costa Rica. So Shift, we are like some other communities, we have shared values which are very important to us, and it is a what we really look to in those, in thinking about those that we want to attract, as well as a long-term blueprint for how we want to operate as a community. Interconnectedness is the idea that we're all in this together, and all of our actions have an impact on other beings and the planet itself. Environmental stewardship is something that factors into everything we do, certainly all of our planning and design work, and as well as being stewards of our land and how we operate as a community. Self-inquiry, we look to attract people that want to grow, that are not afraid of doing deep work, because we feel that makes for a more robust community, and that people can actually learn from one another and grow together. Accountability is the idea of just showing up for one another, doing things that you say you're going to do, and that knowing that people can count on you. And again, communities function far better when they have a high degree of that. Generosity, we live in an age, unfortunately, of increased individualism, and this is really what we view as a solve against that, of really focusing on being generous with one another, taking joy in supporting and giving to others. And last but not least is play. This is one of our community members who is sort of our play ambassador. Those are all pictures of him. But we're obviously doing a very serious project. It's an incredible amount of work, but we try not to take ourselves too seriously as well, and really celebrate life's joys. And particularly Costa Rica is so great at that, and the culture here. And so we really want to embody that and really aim to have fun in everything that we're doing. So you hear the word regeneration all the time when talking about a lot of community and different real estate projects, and means different things to other people. To us, it means that we are stewards of our land, and that we're leaving it in a better place after we're building things than when we started. And so that has the forms of a lot of different things. We actually purchased our land 3.5 years ago. And the day after we closed, we started our regeneration work with, we have a team of 6 full-time farmers and land stewards, and that we have to date planted thousands of trees, lots of biomass, many thousands of grasses, and lots of food. And we are really focused on using permaculture principles and agroforestry models to have a meaningful amount of our own food production that residents in the community will enjoy. These are just sort of our timeline of like everything that we've done to date. I won't, there's a lot of detail there, but I won't get into all of it. But we'll summarize and just say that doing projects in Costa Rica is incredibly complicated, and many projects suffer a lot of delays. We feel that we've done a great job of recruiting a really experienced team here in the country, and we've gotten all of our major approvals. So that includes water, environmental, municipality, and our master condominium. We're a condominium project. So we are, as a community, we actually employ what we've coined a community capital model. So all the pictures, by the way, in the presentation are our community members and different events that we've had. And we have to date 52 different investors comprising about 80 people who have invested in the Shift Esperanza project. And these are, a lot of them are my closest friends, and they are have the intention of either right away or hopefully down the road in some cases living within the project. And so we have a model where people can convert their investment in the project to a land or home purchase at a discount. This is some of these photos are from, we do a gathering every February. The next one is February 10th to the 17th. And it's called La Siembra, where we gather for 7 days as a community. And it's really an amazing opportunity for people to get to know them, know each other, to have a great time, to see what we're doing, and to form bonds. And it's been a really transformative experience for a lot of people who have attended. And even though we don't have a physical homes yet at Shift, we already feel like we have a proof of concept of a lot of the beautiful, magical things that have happened by just bringing amazing people together. This is from our group last year. Diversity is something that we really put a lot of effort into. It's, if you look at a lot of projects in Costa Rica, regardless of whether they're community projects, they're populated overwhelmingly by North Americans. And we're really working hard to be a global community, and in particularly, excuse me, to attract Costa Ricans. So we have a program in place where we're offering a 20% discount on all lots to any Costa Rican national. And but we also want to make sure that they don't just go around and sell it to a North American. So we actually have a structure whereby they can, once they accept that discount, they can only sell it to other Costa Ricans. So once we have a property that is sold to a Costa Rican, we know that it will be owned by a Costa Rican for forever, for all perpetuity. So this is our master plan. And this side here is we really view the entire project as a farm, but this is our intensive 8-acre farm here. And each of these numbers is a different phase. These are all mini neighborhoods that have their own shared amenities within that neighborhood. We have a seasonal river that runs through the property here. And this whole area here is what we planned as a public commercial area, where we will be developing commercial spaces, all carefully curated, with the vision of all of those businesses serving as amenities to the people that will be living in Shift. So this here, number 3, is our first phase, which you can see blown up right here. And we are just about to start selling our first lots within this phase. We're actually going on the market in the next couple of weeks. This whole area here is all of our shared amenities. And this, we're also building townhomes or apartments here. And then we are also selling houses that we are designing and we'll be building for community members. In terms of, this is just really sort of inspirational pictures of our amenity spaces, but we will have, it's anchored by a shared living, eating, and dining. Living, eating, and cooking, dining, kitchen area, as well as large yoga and movement area, indoor and outdoor kids playrooms, a media room, community library, and shared various shared pools, hot tub, cold plunge. So we have a very sort of exciting amenity area. A little bit about, we put a lot, we're a very design focused company. We put a lot of time into our architectural vision for the projects. And we're really trying to balance, we didn't want something that was too uniform and boring, but we also didn't want something that where that was not cohesive with neighboring homes or with the land itself. So what we've come up with is that each of our neighborhoods has its own signature architectural style, and these are 5 that we are for our first 5 phases. And the first phase that I just showed you will be tropical modern. These are, again, just reference images. We'll be replacing them with our first houses really in the next few weeks. We're in schematic design of those homes right now. And then here's just some other, this is really more a mood board for our amenity spaces, but the idea of what we're going for, we're really going for the experience of living in a boutique hotel, but on a permanent basis. But we're certainly very design focused. This is what our spa area, some ideas that we're pursuing, and this is our pricing. So we're envisioning having a wide range of income levels at Shift, and so we are building 400 square foot 1-bedroom apartments that we're planning to sell at $180,000, which is very accessible for Nosara. And then we go up to $1.5 million for a large 4-bedroom home. And then our lots will really range from about $150 to the high $300 range. This does not include the discounts that our investors get for investing in the project or that we give to Costa Ricans. Cynthia asked us, how is Shift different than other communities? And so we came up with sort of 5 areas where we believe that's the case. The first is design. Our firm has always been very design focused. We've won 8 design awards for previous projects that we've done. And for Shift, we've enlisted an amazing team of architects from both Costa Rica and the United States, and have really focused on designing homes and amenity spaces that we want to be spectacular. We also build our own homes. More often communities are selling lots for others to build. We feel we're much more capable, and it's very hard to build homes in Costa Rica. And so we're sort of designing bespoke homes that we'll be building. Our people, we are not just looking to sell real estate and get it out the door, and we actually are very thoughtful about the people that we look to attract into Shift. And we also have a vetting process. So we have a community committee. I'm not a part of it, just for the record. And but we want to get to know people. We really encourage people to come to our La Siembra week or some of our other events prior to joining, just to make sure that the fit is right for everybody. And so we feel that it's really the people that make a living environment special. We are, as I said, a horizontal condo, and that's really important, I believe, in the realm of governance. So we've done an incredible amount of research on best practices on co-housing and community living, and as well as environmental stewardship of our lands. And we have put forth, we believe, a really amazing set of guidelines for that. And we also have a lot of shared amenities that people need to pay for. And so we need a structure where we can actually make sure that people do, and that they follow the guidelines, and that they pay the fees that they need to pay. And so a lot of different structures in Costa Rica don't allow for that. Condos are incredibly complicated. It's why most people don't do them, but we have gone through that trouble. And then the last is our experience. So we have been executing projects for 25 years. We've executed more than a dozen projects successfully. This is the 3rd country that we're working in. And so real estate development is not easy. It's very challenging. A lot of people, people really struggle with it, whether through delays or losses. And so, we believe that we do have the experience to actually to execute. So that's, I think I was a little over 10 minutes. Sorry about that. But that's the presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions that people have.
Great. Thank you so much, Matthew. I love seeing all those photos. It looks like a truly beautiful, beautiful project.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thanks a lot.
I'm so impressed that you've worked on so many different projects over the years. It really shows your experience and thoughtfulness and all these different aspects. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Good. Yeah. And personally, I really like the tropical organic style. So when you're building that neighborhood, I'm gonna want to visit.
Okay. It's probably second or third. So yeah, not
Okay.
too far
Okay.
off.
All right. Nice. Good. Well, we do have some questions for you. Let's
Okay.
see here. Um, yeah, so some of the questions are about the units that you have available. I wonder if you could go back to that slide actually, where you showed the
Sure.
different prices for the different lots. And some are asking if you still have those more affordable, the studios and one bedrooms available.
Yes. So we haven't sold anything yet. We actually, the way we're structured is those who invest in the project have a first priority, but we haven't officially gone on sale. We're actually doing that for the lots in the next probably about 2 weeks. And then for the apartments and the houses at the beginning of next year. We're still in design phase, but we will be selling them after design development is complete, where we have a complete package so people know exactly what they're going to be getting. So yeah, those that are interested, you can just go to our website and send us a message, and be happy to add you to our mailing list and send pricing as soon as it's ready. And yeah.
Okay, great. Good, good. Yeah, I think a lot of the questions are about more of those specific things. So folks,
Okay.
go to the website, sign up, and then when it's available, you'll get all of that more detailed information. Good. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting questions.
I don't think I can share my screen and see the questions at the same. Oh, wait, here I can just do the chat.
Yeah,
Okay, there we go. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. There we
Um,
are.
how many are you looking to fill for this first phase of the project, and how many people in total, or how many lots in total for the whole property?
Sure. Yeah, we have 135 lots, and the first phase is 35 lots. One of them is for the apartments, and the other 34 are for homes. And it'll be a mix of people that want to design their own homes, and those that want to buy a home that we design and build for them.
Okay. Okay, great. Um,
And the site, I don't think I said this, is actually it's 108 acres, or 44 hectares. If you're into numerology, those are both sacred numbers. But yeah, that's the size.
nice. Nice. And I think it's fantastic that you're giving a 20% discount for local Costa Ricans. Are there other ways that you're envisioning integrating with the local community? Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, it's a lot of small ways. We actually also developed a program called Growing Trees Together, where we donate trees to local families, fruit trees, baby fruit trees, and we ask locals only to attend 2 classes with us, so they learn how to plant and care for them and grow them. So we have a lot of different ways that we're actually shuttling 2 different communities, Esperanza and La Delicias is the other one. And we are supporting them in many ways, and our farm team, most of them live there as well. And so as we also develop our shared amenity spaces, it's also allowing local community to use them for free. And just but yeah, we're gonna hosting just different events, and looking for ways to interact with them as much as possible. And it's uh and whether, if we're not employing Costa Ricans, that's always our goal. And some of our staff is actually have partnerships, romantic partnerships with Costa Ricans, which serves as a link to the local community as well. So it's we're really encouraging very strongly everybody to learn Spanish, at least try, at least, and so it really is a lot of little things that, and I think often foreigners come to Costa Rica, they just don't even realize, they just fall into what's comfortable for them. Like, okay, my people, my language, my commonalities, and they really miss out by not kind of venturing out. So I think for a lot of people, it's just giving really specific instructions of like, hey, you're missing out if you're not interacting with the local culture.
Definitely. Thank you, Leslie, for that question. Or I think maybe it wasn't Leslie, but maybe Melanie. I think it's something we're going to ask of all of the communities because, of course, many of your communities and most of the communities in Costa Rica are mostly foreigners. And so that's a point of conversation around the integration with the local existing community. Yeah. Good. Thank you. Let's see if we could do one more. And then I'm going to have you, Matthew, once we're done, go into the Q&A box. You can answer the rest of these. How about, you touched on it briefly, can you share more about your governance and decision making, and especially as you're still developing the community and figuring out what amenities you want to have, is there an opportunity for those future residents to give input, and how are those decisions being made?
Yeah, well, let me start by saying that our job as developer lead lead the development of the project, and we're not, once it's done, then there will be a moment in time where we oversee a transition into the people that are going to be running it. And me and my wife, we're just going to be one community member. And so we're not the guru model. We're a democratically governed, and what we're really just doing is setting up the community using best practices, and doing really thorough research into other communities around the world, and that's how and so that's how we'll be governed. So yeah, sorry for all the background noise. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. Good. All right. Well, yeah, there's a lot more to be covered, of course. I think you have some questions to answer in the chat and the Q&A box.
Okay, I will start doing that.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. You can tell there's just a lot of interest in your community. And folks, once again, going to the website, and then you can contact them directly to get even more information, if not all your questions are answered today. Good. Thank you, Matthew.
My pleasure. Thanks.
All right. Now we get to go to another community in Costa Rica. We have Jonathan with Earthwaking Village, and Jonathan and I have connected a little bit in online spaces, and I'm really excited to get to actually go and see your community and all of these communities in January. Jonathan, big welcome to you.
Thank you for having me. All right. So yeah, we're Earthwaking Village. We're pretty unique. We're raw and real. There's no fakeness here. If you like being fake, you're definitely not gonna want to be here. So I'm gonna play a quick video first. Actually, we're in the southern Pacific, or 10 minutes away from a little beach town called Dominicao. That's where we have two villages. Our first one it was an old eco lodge that we purchased. It had like 11 casitas and a restaurant and a hotel. And then we bought it and turned it into a village, built 18 more units on it, a big giant greenhouse. And I'm going to play a video in just a moment so you'll get to see it. Giant greenhouse, food forest everywhere. So, I mean, there's food everywhere. 2 chicken coops with 90 chickens cranking out 80 eggs a day. We got a well with a big water tower that we pump the water up to the tower, and it just feeds the whole property. And We got solar panels on everything. So all the new construction is completely off grid. Some of the older casitas are still on the grid, but that'll be in the next couple of months. We'll be completely sovereign to where we're not dependent upon any outside sources. So let me play the video real quick, and then I'll just kind of share more about our community and our culture and things like that. That was a video of our first village, our first one. We always knew this first one was a prototype. Again, we've got another one, another 50-acre property we're starting to develop right now. But I'm just going to kind of start talking about what makes us different. We're birthing heaven on earth from the inside out. I've noticed when we came here to Costa Rica, there's other communities that were already here, actually in this specific area that we're at. And they just like, they've been over here for a while, but they just keep collapsing. And the reason being is because people don't realize that wherever you go, there you are. And they think they can get themselves in a new environment and it's pretty and it's like heaven out there and it's going to feel like heaven in here, but it doesn't work that way. You have to do it from the inside out. It's an inside job. And so there's we've only got 2 rules here at Earthwaking: own your shit and tell the truth. And the reason we only have 2 rules is because if you make big rules, you make really small people. But we work on building big people, and then you don't need any rules because the rules are for people who lack responsibility, ability to respond to their reality. So how the vision started for me was I used to be a broke, ignorant, blackout drunk, atheist beach bum. And one day I was blackout drunk. I rear-ended a car at a stoplight, went to jail, sitting in jail, decided never again will my actions, nobody got hurt, but they could have. I said, never again will my actions hurt anybody. From this moment forward, every step that I take is going to help people. And I got really, I became very successful real estate. I signed up for this real estate investment program, and I was very naive, like thinking just that these things work. And just because I was naive enough, it did work for me. And it was one of these like infomercials where they taught you no money, no credit real estate investing. And I did it. And with my first 18 months, starting with no money, no credit, no clue, I'd made $400,000. Within 2 years, I'd built a multi-million-dollar empire. But then I had money and I knew how I got it. It was personal development. I'd actually paid for recipes. Like, learning from people who've already got the fruits and just paying for their recipe. And like, how do I do that? So I got really hooked on personal development. And I remember I'd go to like these Tony Robbins events, and I just loved these events. They were so incredible because you'd be there for 6 days with all these awesome people, and they're all inspired, and they're like, "Hey, what's your dream?" And I'm like, "Really? I can tell my dream to you, and you're gonna actually happy about it instead of beating me down about it." And they're like, "Yeah," and then everybody's inspired and inspiring, and we want to support each other. And and it was just so awesome. But then the 6 days are over and I have to go back to the world that I just came from. And then I'm like, hey guys, guess what I'm going to do? And they're like, you're not going to do anything. You're stupid. And I'm like, what is this? Why can't I just live in this world? Why do I have to keep coming back to that world? And like that had to be there. Like there had to be a way where I could just stay in a reality like that, where the people are inspired and inspiring, and we support each other, and we, give people hand up, and I couldn't find it. It didn't exist. I invested $500,000 into personal development, going to every event I could find and everything. And it's the event would be over and then there's nothing left. And I got to go back to the old world. So that was why the vision started for me. That's what I've been driving towards this whole time. And now I live in that reality. I met my wife. She came to one of my personal development events, and then it was called Awaken Your Destiny. And it was a goal setting workshop. And she started writing down visions at this goal setting workshop. And I'm like, hey, what you just wrote, that's my vision. That's my dream. And it just, we had the same visions. We had the same dreams. So why don't we just hold hands and walk together? It's the same home. So why don't we just walk home together? And so we did. And we birthed this beautiful, this beautiful village together. And then people just kept jumping on board, and, and we did it. It's beyond my wildest dreams of whatever imagined possible as I was a little child. And, but one of the main things that make us functional, when all of humanity is dysfunctional, but they've got this mask on pretending like they're not, which means they're doubly dysfunctional. So we don't wear masks around here. We've got a game that we play. And so there's this thing I always say: you face it within or you face it without. You face it by chance or you face it by choice. And what you got to face are your fears, your lies, your judgments. And so we face ours by choice. We all eat breakfast together every day and eat lunch together, but we've got a game called dysfunction. And yes, I said a game called dysfunction. We put the fun in dysfunction. And the reason we put the fun in it is because the reason this dysfunction is trapped inside of the people is because they're ashamed of it. And they don't want anybody to know it's in there. But we don't have judgment. We got discernment, but we take the judgment out of it and we discern, hey, that's not working. And so how we play the game is we got a little bucket. We call it the litter box. And we put it in the middle of our table that we eat at. And what goes in litter box? Shit. Well, what's the shit? How do you know what do you put in there? Well, if you're experiencing anything other than peace, love, and joy, that means you have to be living in some sort of lie. And I know that might seem far-fetched to a lot of people right now, but that's the reality of it, because the peace, love, and joy, the fruits of the spirit. So if you're experiencing any other fruits than that means you're living the fruits of you're believing lies. And so when you experience something other than peace, love, and joy, you get triggered, you throw it in the bucket. Or if you see somebody else get triggered, you throw it in the bucket. Like, Phoenix was pissed at Sarah because of blah, 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 whatever. And you just throw it in the bucket. And it's like, you just get to do that around here. And then when we get to the breakfast table and they're like, oh, looks like there's some shit in the bucket. And so we pull it out. Now, when it goes in the bucket, it's that person's stuff. When it comes out, it's ours, because if it's in any of us, it's in all of us to some degree. So how you play the game is you find yourself in the dysfunction and find it inside of you. How are you doing that? And we've got these different breakthrough processes that we do that we can transcend any level of dysfunction pretty miraculously. So we pull it out and then we look at it, and then we all do these breakthrough processes, and it's really cool. Now, when you're the one on the hot seat, if somebody called your stuff out, you're probably not having a lot of fun in that moment, but it doesn't last very long. You pop out on the other side pretty quick around here, and we all rise together, and it's just a beautiful experience. So that's really the core. Like, our core message at Earthwaking is your only job for being alive is to be you. The only way you can possibly fail is by trying to be something that you're not. And your difference is the only thing that can make a difference. But most people don't know how to be themselves, because they have no idea who they are, because they gave up their purpose for approval, for safety, for significance. And so they don't even know who they are anymore. So we're like, when people show up here, it's kind of like we just start cleaning the mud off of you. And, we're not here giving you anything. We're just removing all the crap so that your true self can shine through. And it's a very liberating experience, and people just get to, find themselves. And then we work interdependently, because each of us have different gifts. Some people love gardening, some people love cooking, some people love cleaning, some people love building. And it's like, we all have our different things that we love doing, and we all rise together. So, but yeah, the core of it is the internal work. And then the outer work is cool. We just do beautiful things on the outside that reflect what's the heaven that we found on the inside. And we got a lot of virtual events that we do online. You know, if you can go to earthwakingvillage.com, that's our virtual village where you can go plug in there and get to kind of meet our community. And we've got events going on all the time. I saw Phoenix post in the chat a little while ago, Freedom to Be Masterclass. That's one coming up this evening. It's a free event you can go plug into and get a transformational experience. And I got another event coming up on Saturday, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. If you go to offgriddreamlife.com, it'll share more of the journey of how we got here, and kind of I'll share with you if you have a dream of living in an off-grid dream life, it'll show you how you can go create it on your own, or if you'd like to be part of what we're doing, that's a good opportunity to check that out. You'll get a good feel for it there too. So yeah, I guess that's about all to share for right now, unless people got some questions. I'm definitely here, ready to answer.
Good. Thank you, Jonathan. Yes, and people definitely have questions. Thank you for really speaking to your story and the heart of what your community is all about. I think that was some of the questions people had are like around conflict resolution in some of these communities. And I loved how you shared about your dysfunction game. That seems really cool and unique. Is that something that you made up, or did you hear about that?
It just kind of started to show up. Like, see, I used to be a full-on people pleaser, and my biggest fear was for people to not like me. And so I was just tippy-toeing around everywhere. I was a mute. I didn't even talk at all because I was like, I didn't know if what I was going to say was going to sound cool or sound stupid. And I had no clue. So I just didn't say anything. But I went on just a wild journey through, I always say sometimes you fall into heaven through the floor of hell. So I went on a wild journey through hell, popped out on the other side, and then I was liberated and free from caring what people think about me. And so I started to realize that all this dysfunction was hiding behind the mask that the people were wearing. And there's just always like this elephant in the room that people don't talk about. So I just started talking about it. And I was like, hey, there's an elephant right there, but I don't have any judgment on it. And I'm like, there's an elephant right there. And I do it in this fun way where I can say things that nobody else can say. And they're like, did he just say that? But it liberates the person when I say it, because they've been hiding it and everybody knew it anyway. So that's just this game is just one of, I've got all kinds of, we got another thing I call the blame game. People are blaming everybody all the time. So we actually made a game out of it where we say, who's to blame? And so there's this Zen quote. It says, those who blame others have a long way to go on the journey. Those who blame themselves are halfway there, but those who blame no one have arrived. So we play the game where everybody has to point their finger at somebody in the first round. And then the second round, you got to point your finger at yourself. And then the third round, you got to find out why it really happened, because everything happens for a reason and all things work for good. And every moment is a gift from God, but you just got to find out what the gift is. And so we unwrap the gift and always get the gold out of every moment.
Oh, wow. I love that. Unwrapping the gift. Okay, great. Fantastic. There are some questions about some of the more practical things, like you open to new members right now. What are the housing options and the costs? Is there a way to get that information, or do you want to share briefly about that?
Yeah, I mean, you'll want to go plug into our virtual communities and stuff first. I mean, you're already getting a little taste of our vibe. Again, it's real. If you don't want a real reality, if you want to hide behind a mask, you're not going to want to be part of anything that we're doing, because there's nothing hidden here. And so, yeah, just plug in earthwakingvillage.com, earthwakingvillage.org. You can go in there and apply to come for a visit. But if you'll go to that offgriddreamlife.com, I'll share some opportunities in there. We have lots on our second 50-acre property starting as little as $22,000. So, it's pretty, very, very, very affordable for people to step in. But again, you go through the filtration process before we even talk about that. So.
Gotcha. Yes. So for you all, the values come first. And if there's a misalignment there, don't even bother with the rest. But yes, folks, information is available on the website. You can apply to go visit. You can also visit virtually through some of these workshops or on an eco-village tour that we're hosting in Costa Rica. Good, great. So Jonathan, I think there's some other things that you may want to answer in the Q&A box and in the chat. So I'll just direct your attention to those areas. And thank you so much for sharing with us. I really, I'm just feeling your passion and how you're just totally in alignment, walking your path. It's really inspiring. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Beautiful. Okay, good. All right. So while you're doing that, folks, we'll get as many of your questions answered as we can. We are going to shift now to our final community presentation, and that is the ARC community. And we have Marat with us here.
Go ahead. Hi, guys.
Hi. Hey. Yes, we're really excited to learn about the ARC.
Thank you so much. Can I share my screen?
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah, you got
it. Thank you.
Good.
Perfect. Thank you. Do you see it well? All great.
It looks good. Go
Amazing.
ahead.
Thank you so much. So we're located. Thank you so much for joining. And it was great also to see other presentations and know what other people are doing. And we're welcoming people here in January, Cynthia, with you. And so we created the ARC in Santa Teresa in Nicoya Peninsula, and we call ourselves Autonomous Regenerative Community. And it was born from the idea of, well, it was born in 2021 when practically pandemic was either finishing or who knows what was happening. And we thought that like, we'd really want to have a place where we can gather and where we can live and to, first of all, be safe and also to establish our own rules and not to be responding to whatever is happening outside of an outside world and people telling us like what to do and what to wear and how to live what to do about our health and what not to do about our health. So that's why we thought that we need like an literal like offline place where we'll form our community. And that's how the ARC was born. And Costa Rica was always ringing the bell. At that time I was living in Mexico, but Costa Rica was ringing the bell for all the different practices that Costa Rica is doing. And I will not be stopping on this now. And we called it the ARC, and we were actually very bold with our name. So we're located in Nicoya Peninsula, and we're now Santa Teresa is growing pretty quick, and it's a relatively new place. And for instance, Nosara was there for some decades already, and Santa Teresa is relatively new and it's developing very quick. We got just now a new airport next to us, and so we have 3 airports around us, so that makes it very easy to get to the ARC, and then the new one is just 15 minutes drive from us. And Santa Teresa is a small town. We only have 16,000 people of like full-time residents. It's all over, not only Santa Teresa, but like all little towns all over. And it has 10% annual tourism growth and 80% average hotel occupancy. And we have more than 14 kilometers of different style of beaches. And this is the ARC, and that's what we are. We're almost 200 acre, like 198 acres, 80 hectares property. We're almost a mile from the beach on top of the mountain. We're like 197 meters above the sea level, and everything was done for a reason, you know, like it's that the distance from the beach and the elevation above the sea level, and nothing is random, let's say. And out of 198 acres, you see this is a satellite image. We have 60-acre jungle, which we're obviously keeping, and we're making it into a wildlife sanctuary. And we're creating around 6 kilometers of hiking and biking trails and making 15-acre permaculture farm. So the whole idea with creating the ARC, we didn't want to deplete nature like it's happening a lot with other developments where people are just coming and cutting out places out. And it happens a lot, unfortunately, in Mexico or all over the world. And we wanted to find the land that was really already affected by humans, and we wanted to reforest it back. And we found this land that was pasture land for 40 years, and now we're reforesting 70% of the land. Practically, we believe in one thing, that you cannot create a community, although this word is very popular now, and it's a beautiful movement of intentional community living. But you as a leader of the community, as a creator of the project, of the physical space, you cannot create a community, but you can create conditions for it to flourish. And it's a very important note because people get a lot into solving problems and like, you know, getting into like managing how people are going to live, where creating conditions for communities to appear is practically to create guiding principles and values, and just like to welcome each and everyone who is responding to these guiding principles and values. Therefore, we created our own guiding principles, and there are 4 of them, which I will go step by step, and I will make it quick so we can have more time for questions and answers, okay? So first of all, and as it was an autonomy, we're creating a fully solar powered project. So we're giving, we're not connecting the arc to the grid. We're giving, including in the price of the land, we're including set of solar panels for 2,000 kilowatt hours per month, including a reserve battery for 24 hours. We're creating our own syntropic farm for 15 acres and creating natural living ponds on the territory to keep water as long as possible, because, you know, Costa Rica has 2 seasons, like rain and dry season. So we understand that we're getting to the stage of development of the world where, unfortunately, where it's going to be drastic climate changes, and we understand that drought seasons are going to be longer. So that's why we're creating reserve water resources. All that falls into the autonomy guiding principle, and we are really bringing in people who resonate with this guiding principle, who want to be autonomous, who understand what's happening in the world, who want to change their life, and who want to be practically independent in all kind of sense. The next one is regeneration, and this is, of course, everything which I already mentioned about reforestation of 70% of the land. We're creating our own wildlife sanctuary, and practically we're regenerating back the soil. By now, we have created more than 80 tons of new soil, and we're going to regenerate all the soil here. I really love how Zach Bush put it in his one of his podcasts that I recently listened, that like, it doesn't matter you're carnivorous or omnivorous or vegetarian, cannot be healthier what you eat, whatever, and this, or animal or plant, and this plant cannot be healthier than the soil that it grew in. And it's really important because soil problem all over the world, the soil is very depleted. It has a lot of pesticides. So therefore, for us, it's one of the main factors is regeneration of the soil. And the next one is a community, which is our guiding principle. And here we're distributing 30% of our profit of whatever businesses we're creating inside of the arc with our residents. Depending on the time when they're joining, they're getting per every lot, they're getting certain percentage of the profit share from whatever businesses we create, be it property management, food and beverage, hotels, events, clinic, everything that we're going to be building, 30% of the profit are going to our residents. And we're creating a concept of which is, because we believe that the problem in our world now is that people are building walls instead of building bridges, and there is a lot of separation, and people honestly feel that the distance between rich and poor, and it's just getting crazy. So we understand the frustration that's happening very often when whatever communities, developments, whatever you name it, are coming to other countries. And I'm not myself from Costa Rica, I'm from Kazakhstan myself, and our team is from all over the world. And a lot of our people are from Costa Rica as well. But at the same time, we do understand that the frustration when developments are coming and they're just building walls and they're making closed gated communities and no one can enter. So we decided to tackle this issue and to create this open gated concept where practically anyone can come and enjoy the arc and amenities and facilities and be there for events, for whatever, for practices, for classes. And practically, we want to bring positive change to the region. So by saying that, it implies free local education, and free local education, not only from the perspective of like whatever classes we're giving, but free local education, that hands-on approach of what do we do believe people need. And it's like long forgotten knowledge of how to grow your own food and how to practically become a carpenter and how to make things with your own hands, and not just to be, you know, like whatever like people really need here living on the land. So that's what we're bringing from the perspective of community. And the next one is health. There are all sorts of communities all over the world. There are tech communities, there are X communities, Y communities. So we are a healthy community. So therefore, obviously, it was dictated by the, first of all, idea that we're located in Nicoya Blue Zone, but also we're targeting the longevity and vitality of everyone who is involved. And by everyone who is involved, I'm not saying that people who live inside, but everyone whom the ARC is touching, means our providers, our clients, our residents, people, local community who is working with us. And by that, it's like, first of all, like eating clean, changing the eating habits from ultra processed diets, which is happening a lot in Latin American countries, towards more organic diets, like, you know, and practically educating also people about like what is good and what is not good for your health. But at the same time, we're also creating a healthy alternative to modern living, the way we say it. And that's, you know, for people who are joining the ARC as residents, just to who understand that living for whatever it was for now, it's just not working. It's just not sustainable. It just like makes no sense, because the programming created us believing that there are certain ideals that we believed in. And at the same time, we see that there are people who understand that it's not working anymore. So therefore, all our guiding principles are kind of leading us towards what we're creating inside of the ARC. And of course, it's important to say that like whatever we're building, whatever we're creating is falling also to certain architectural style, and we call it contemporary tropical architecture, and you can see how it's going to look like. And we get a lot of inspiration from the same climate places, and we have architects from Costa Rica, we have architects from Mexico who are working on individual houses, all our amenities, and who've done these projects all over the world already, and they're practical award-winning architects, mostly from Mexico, and our Costa Rican team is providing a supportive role of like creating it according to the local requirements and engineering standards. And now we're, for instance, this is our hotel that we're starting building, which we're calling Arc Lofts, and that's, you can see like, you know, how it's gonna look already in renders, and we're starting building it in the next 3 months. So hopefully in a year we will be able to host people at the Arc already. So that's our master plan, and out of everything, we're creating a health area, which is going to include the gym and 25-meter pool, tennis, paddle, pickleball, volleyball, and like all type of courts, and of course like ice baths and cold plunges and saunas. We're building a co-creation lounge, a temple which is going to be disconnected from whatever sort of religions, but at the same time it's going to be a place where dedicated place where people can enjoy their spiritual practices. And which is important also, we're building a vitality clinic. So this is, you can see here that we have this 60-acre wildlife sanctuary that we're converting to a wildlife sanctuary. Now it's a jungle. So we're going to practically implement saving wildlife and restoring it back, because, you know, like whatever, like overdevelopment of such touristic locations always pushes back the wildlife inland. And we're planting all types of trees to bring back like the macaws and to bring back monkeys. And we already have like in our farm, we already have several families of monkeys living back, and all type of animals and deers. So we're putting vitality clinic inside of the wildlife sanctuary, and it's going to also include retreat center and boutique hotel and spa. And then also we're creating a kids playground. We're dedicating 1 hectare of our land to kids playground. We're making an education center inside of the farm, and then also building all type of workshops, carpentry and painting. So practically the whole idea is that what we want to do with the ARC is to create an extended home, so that wherever you go, you don't feel that it's something separate. Everything is inside, and it's all co-creation by the people who are joining the ARC now as we're talking. So we as people who are navigating the project, we're just providing the platform, and there is no agenda. There are just these guiding principles and values, and whoever is joining the ARC, they're bringing their ideas, they're bringing their experiences, they're bringing also their vision, and they're co-creating the project together with us. And that's what we felt is the most right way to create it, rather than to just build something, and because it's not an apartment building, right? So by becoming a resident, people get titled lots, and they start from 5,000 square meters, which is 1.2 acres. And We include Starlink internet hardware for every lot. As I said, we'll include solar panels and reserve battery for 24 hours. And we're connecting all ARC to governmental water, which is called ASADA here. Our prices for land start from $300,000 for 1.2 acre lot. And this lot can be owned by as many people as you want. And you just like form practical, you buy in Costa Rica, you buy the land to a company name, and then there can have as many owners as you want. So practically that's a very short presentation, and I really wanted to leave more time for like discussion and answering questions if we have any. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marat. Great presentation. Really loved a lot of those concepts. I just wrote down so many of them. I liked, for example, what you said at the beginning, creating the conditions for community to flourish versus thinking that we get to create community as founders, but really those conditions. I just love that. Beautiful. Thank you. Well,
Thank you.
Folks, please put your questions, if you can, in the Q&A box so that we can try to keep it organized. And we do have time for answering your questions. And then I'm going to bring all of our presenters back soon, and we'll have some more general conversation to wrap up with. So let's see. Resiliency.
Stop sharing the screen so we have better.
There's a number of questions about the structures that are to be built. So you had shown those beautiful designs of the tropical contemporary style. Are those needed to be built by your architects? Can people build their own homes? That's one question.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Great one. Well, we have our in-house team of architects, as I said, and they can also, we give service of building, but at the same time, you can bring your own architects and build in according with our architectural guidelines. And then also understanding that most of the people who are joining most probably from outside Costa Rica. So practically it's a complicated process to build something in Costa Rica. So you really have to have local people, engineers, architects, and everything to build something. So therefore, we're providing a service of making architectural projects and at the same time, administration of the construction.
Okay, I see. And then can you build more than one home on a lot?
You can build several dwellings on the lot. Yeah, you can practically build 25% of your land. And
Yeah, that's interesting that you purchase as a company and then you can have multiple owners. There was a question as to the expense or the price of some of these lots, but I'm imagining that's partly balanced out, because if you purchase a lot as, let's say, a group or a group of families, then you can have your home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice. Good. Let's see. There's more questions here about the pricing and the lots and the units. Is that information on your website or how
on our website? Yes, and at the same time, just to say it again, like our prices start from $300,000 per 1.2 acres lot, and you can build on 25%, and this can be owned between several people.
Okay, great. Reliance on density. So Caitlin has a question, and Caitlin is coming from the Eco Village at Ithaca in New York State, which is, if you're not familiar with it, it's actually a design for community where the homes are clustered into more tight neighborhoods, and then there's more open space. So there's a question here about, can you speak to your decisions to sell larger individual lots versus having more condensed housing to conserve more of the land? Yeah,
it's a good question, and that was the whole idea that we really wanted to maintain big lots, so they're from 1.2 acres to 2.5 acres. And understanding that people, first of all, there might be several owners of the land, and there are going to be several houses on the land. So we really wanted to give this freedom of having your own land, and at the same time, first of all, reforesting the land, and also we're providing the service of creating individual farms on people's lands. So aside of our 15-acre farm, we are giving this service to people so that they can have their own farms or gardens, whatever. But at the same time, we're really motivating to have as many farming space as possible. And we're building our farm on syntropic agroforestry basis. So therefore, the whole idea that for people to have as much food production as possible, and that's why there are bigger lots. And also, yeah, for the same that you said, like it's also like we've seen it a lot in Mexico, like because you see, like we are not. I always say, and it might confuse some people, we're not a real estate development. We're not doing a development. We're not developers. We came to find our new home. We're building home for us. So we're creating, we're fantasizing like what is our extended home going to have? And that's why we have all these amenities or whatever, you know. And then we fantasize like, so how do we want to live? And as long as like we could obviously increase the return of investment. And by the way, we don't have investors, and hopefully we will never have investors, because the moment investors enter to the game, they want to see the return of investment. And we're not a development; it's not a business. We're building home for ourselves, and therefore we thought, okay, how do we want to live? And although we could bring is way more money by selling closely located lots, but instead we went, okay, let us have spread out lots, let us have our land, and let us see green around, and be in the comfort of your own house whenever you want, and you solitude wherever you want, to see the jungle around you, and then go out if you want to socialize and see people around you. So therefore, that's why we have big lots.
I love that. I love the thoughtfulness that you've put into all
Thank
of
you.
this. And yeah, and you're not a development. You're creating homes. Yeah.
We're building our home.
Building your home. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for the work you're doing. Great. Well, folks, we are coming close here. We're in our last 15 minutes or so. So now we're going to shift into the final portion of our time together, which is my favorite part, where we have some just more general discussion with our presenters. So if you have a burning question that you're holding that you would like to pose to all of our presenters, feel free to share that with us. But yeah, there's a lot here. And just a reminder that, of course, we do this event every month on the first Thursday of the month. Do go to ic.org to register for the next one coming up, and really appreciate all of the questions that you've asked today. It's really been very helpful. Good. Yeah. So, and Melanie, I do see your hand. I think I'll ask the group a question because I have one, and then we'll go to your question if that's all right. So, yeah, I have a question for all of you because you're all the founders or co-founders of your communities. And I'm just so curious about what's happening in Costa Rica. Why is Costa Rica, it seems like, becoming this mecca center for intentional communities of all sorts? For our Eco Village tour, we had a selection. We're visiting 14 communities in total, but that was a selection among dozens and dozens of different intentional communities. I mean, obviously, Costa Rica is beautiful, tropical, but there's something else for people from around the world to be convening. And where do you see this headed? Is Costa Rica just going to become a place of many eco villages? Are you all connected with each other? Do you folks, have you met each other before this event? I'm just really curious about the network in Costa Rica and where you see it heading as a movement. And feel free, whoever wants to go first, just unmute and share.
I can start, I guess. I have not had the opportunity to meet Jonathan or Murat before, so nice to meet you guys. Yeah, there are a lot of community projects that are being attracted, that Costa Rica is attracting as a country, and there is a sort of a growing network of us that are kind of working together and collaborating in different areas, and it's really nice to see. And I think just the idea that we're not, we're not competitors. We're really all, have, different projects, but generally very aligned goals. And I think the reason that it's happening is really the values of the government. I mean, that's, for me personally, 5 years ago, this is what attracted me here. The other place that's attracting a lot of community projects is Mexico. And I think there's a lot of, Mexico is such a rich culture, and so I think that attracts a lot of people. But I think as a government of, Costa Rica produces almost all of its own power from renewables, and doesn't have an army, and really has does a lot with its healthcare system for very little money, and just has, the culture of pura vida is, it's not just a great like marketing slogan. It really is something that people in Costa Rica embody. And I think a lot of Americans and North Americans who seems like that's majority of people on this call are, are just looking to get off the treadmill. And so the culture here is a real, in many ways, opposite of some of the things that perhaps are, I think we're experiencing, that are maybe less, people are feeling are less positive in North America.
Great, thank you.
I can also add maybe, thank you, Matthew. Nice to meet you guys, and really hope to visit the communities in person. Yeah, there's a lot happening in Costa Rica. It's so funny that you said it yourself, Cynthia. It's like, it seems that it's like center of attraction of communities. And yes, Mexico is growing as well. But at the same time, I believe, Cynthia, you maybe know it better than us, that intentional communities movement in general is huge in the world. Maybe it's not as promoted by mainstream media, because mainstream media doesn't want to promote it, but people practically are getting out exactly of the rat race, and they just understand that it's something is not working, and it's this internal feeling that something is not working, making them like, okay, to recheck again, like, okay, so what do I really want? How do I want to live my life? And I believe Costa Rica was always representing these values of living down to earth, simple living, like simple pleasure of life, of like pura vida, and then without any complications around. And that's what really brings people here, of certain type of people. Yeah. And then exactly as Matthew said, is like, 98% of renewables and everything. So people for whom like this is ringing the bell. But also outside of these kind of soft factors, banking structure, Costa Rica is very transparent country for financial transactions, and that's important, and I believe that's what generates a lot of trust. And at the same time, it's a very safe country, and I believe many people really want to live in Latin America, and because everyone loves the vibe, everyone loves the language, everyone loves the culture, but sometimes it can come with a cost. And a lot of countries are coming with certain security issues. And I believe Costa Rica is the country which is giving the safety and security to people. And that's like, kind of first entrance point for many. And then it's a snowball effect, because Costa Rica has been known for intentional communities movement since what, like maybe 20 years. And they were different, of course, but still, like one after the other. And now you see like hundreds of communities appearing, and it's great. And as Matthew said, if we're building a new world, because that's what exactly we're doing, right? We're not here, I hope, I don't know. I'm here not to make money. I'm here to build a new world. That's the intention. So then there has to be the basic principle of cooperation. I read, sorry for occupying the microphone for so long. I'll make it very quick. I read an amazing, horrible thing in one magazine some time ago. And it was a Russian oligarch, and I was like, wow, he's so right, unfortunately. And he was saying, it was 20 years ago, and he was saying, evil always wins because evil cooperates. And it felt so deep. I was like, wow, that's so true. Good, like kindness never cooperates. And I really hope that us as like founders of intentional communities, we're not going to follow the same examples of separation and division, and that we're really going to bring everything on the table and really make our projects better, but better the whole movement of intentional communities for people who want to join. Thank you. Sorry again for taking so much space.
Here, yes.
Yeah, so I'm a not my will but thine be done kind of guy, And so I'm always just listening. God, what would you have me do today? Now, I was in Austin, Texas before I came here, and there's a town called Bastrop, and I was trying to buy a property over there, and that was going to be our first village. I knew me and my wife both knew we were building a village, and we thought it was Bastrop, Texas, but then it just kept falling through. And then all of a sudden we both very clearly heard God said, fly to Costa Rica today. Like, what? Right now? Yeah, you got 1 hour, pack your stuff, fly to Costa Rica. And so we did. We get fly, and as soon as we land in Costa Rica, the entire world shuts down. The whole from COVID. So we landed the day that the world closed down, and they shut down all the airports. And we're like, what are we doing? Like, what? And they said, well, you can catch a reparation flight back. If you don't, then you could be stuck here indefinitely. And we're like, well, then we got a life back home. We can't just like be stuck here. But then we looked at each other and we're like, but if we were stuck in Costa Rica, it wouldn't be that bad. I don't know. Let's just give it a go. And so once we wound up at this retreat center, it was on 100 acres, and we knew immediately why we were there. Oh, we're here. This is where we're supposed to build the villages. So that's why that's why I'm here. Now on being here, I'm like, well, now I know why, because got perfect weather year round. It like never gets cold, it never gets hot. You got food, like you'll be eating an orange and an orange seed falls out of your mouth. The next day there's a tree growing. Like it's just wild how everything grows here and year round. You don't have to. So it's easy for what we're doing, because I'm here for sovereignty, sovereign food, water, shelter, energy, community, and you can do that very easily here. As far as us co-creating and cooperating, these guys are further up north than where I'm at, but there's several communities here in this region that I'm at. Like, I mean, there's people are here building communities right here, and we're all connected with each other down here in this region for sure. We've actually our village has become like basically like a hub, like a training ground for the leaders of the other communities, because of our culture development. We know what we're doing as far as culture development. They're better at all the regenerative, permaculture and things like that, and building with bamboo and things like that. But we're better on the inner world. They're better on the outer world. So it's working perfectly together. So, yeah, we're all definitely working together down here, and I'm sure we'll expand up there to these guys as well. And Costa Rica is not that big, but 5% of the biodiversity on the planet is here in this little tiny country.
Yes. We need all the different models of community, all the different ways, all the different aspects focused on. Thank you. Good. Okay, Melanie, let's take your question, and we'll just have brief responses, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, Melanie, go ahead, and you should be able to unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you all about accessibility. What I'm noticing after visiting a bunch of communities is that there was not a lot of long-term planning happening in terms of terrain and climate and that kind of thing. And a lot of communities that have been around for decades are now like, oh, we're all much older and we all need caregivers, and that's where our focus has to be. So yeah, so I guess I'm asking about accessibility and longevity, and what happens to people when they are in their whatever age they are and they can't walk so well anymore. Are there plans for that?
Thank you so much. Great question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So this first village that we're on, it's only a 5-acre property. We didn't even look at it at first, because there was no way we can build a village on 5 acres as far as we thought. But everything kept falling through, and then it was just a miracle how this thing happened. And we built it on this, and we're like, wow, we actually only need 5 acres to build a village, and it's the perfect size actually. And we got a lot of old people here, and it's cool because we all eat together, and we're co-creating together, and we're interdependent. And so nobody has a very far walk to get to the community center, because it's only on 5 acres. So even on our 50-acre property, all that's going to be 5-10 acre villages on there, and they all have the community center. So it's going to be very easy for people to get for the elderly people to be able to get, for everybody to get to the community centers and be able to be taken care of. It's like, I didn't do it on purpose. I'm just saying, not my will, but thine be done, and just saying yes. And it all just keeps turning out perfectly for everything that we're doing.
Can I? Yeah, thank you so much, Melanie, for the question. My mom is turning 70 next year, and as said, it's like I'm building home for myself and for my family, and it's a dream come true to bring my mom here. And understanding this, and actually understanding this factor that's why also we're building a longevity and vitality clinic, because we understand also that by just implementing simple things we can extend health span and lifespan. And that's, there was a question also in the thread that like, how are we planning to generate income? But that's also exactly answering this question as well, that it's going to be income generating business. And at the same time, we are making we're making the arc as much as possible driverless, let's say, or like carless space, where we're implementing shuttles, and which are going to be transport people, and of course walking for whoever you can walk, and because we have more than 4 kilometers of roads here, so we're implementing electric shuttles, and which are going to be bringing people from one place to another, and understanding that we all are going to bring our moms, and we want to spend as much as time as possible with our families here. So like we are creating the spaces intentionally, having this in mind and providing their comfort. And at the same time, we always say about children, right? Whenever we talk, whatever like marketing materials you see, you go like, say, oh, children, they're our future. And then we're forgetting this second part of life, that people who practically gave us education and brought us to life. And that's exactly what we're sharing with people who are joining, that it's going to be an amazing thing just to bring our parents and to create separate activities for them, because this has separate needs. This is like, they cannot go to a waterfall. You know, my mom will be like, hey, like which waterfalls? Like I cannot go and like do like 3 kilometers hikes. But at the same time, you can do the same events that like you can bring them together, and you can do fire circles, and you can do events targeted to especially this audience. So there is planning for that, and I believe in other communities as well. I hope it's in other communities as well. So thank you very much for this question, Melanie.
Thank you.
So our stance on it in general is we're really aiming for a lot of age diversity. We feel that age diversity makes for a really really dynamic and wonderful community. Older people have by nature of how long they lived, more wisdom in many cases than younger folks, and a lot that people can learn from, and and kids and older people generally in many cases go really well together, and both can sometimes find themselves with spare time on their hands, and so that can be like a really great match on both sides. We're designing Shift to be fully accessible, and our townhome property has an elevator in it. All of our amenity spaces that are more than single story have elevators or ramps as well. There are some areas of our property, because we're have pretty we have very hilly topography, that we do have some areas that are walking trails and things like that are steep and just won't be accessible, but they're really in the minority of areas. So we're planning, me personally, I plan on growing old in Shift, and we have some members who have already joined us in their 20s, and we have other members who have joined us who are in their 70s, and so we are certainly planning on catering to immediately right away to the older generation in terms of accessibility.
Great.
Thank you.
Good. Yes. Thank you again, Melanie, for that question. All right. Well, here we are, just about time to wrap up. I want to thank each of you again for taking the time to share with us, and for the really incredible work that you're doing in your communities. I'm so excited to meet each of you in person soon in Costa Rica. I'm going to put the link again to that tour that's coming up. ecovillagetours.com is the website. And yes, like, here's to all of us growing old in community and bringing our mom and our other family members into the fold, and just really creating that more beautiful world. Thank you again. Thanks for everyone who's listening. Hope to see you again next month. And we can just sign off with our appreciations, and then we'll close out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks
everybody.
everyone for connecting.
Beautiful. All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.